All right. Welcome back to F1 News Pit Pass. Today, we're diving into what Lewis Hamilton just called the worst race of his entire career. Yep, Spain 2025 may go down in history for all the wrong reasons if you're Team Hamilton. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. From Ferrari's wild development split to Stroll's broken wrist drama in Canada, Red Bull's ticking time bomb of a penalty risk for Max, and an epic face-off between Lawson and Hadjar for a potential seat, this one's packed. So hit that like button if you love this sport as much as we do, and subscribe for full paddock access all year long. Let's jump into it. So, Lewis Hamilton, the seven-time champ, is calling the Spanish Grand Prix the low point of his career. Now we know Hamilton's never been shy with his words, but things at Ferrari are clearly not going to plan. After promising early signs this season, the recent races have exposed cracks. Big ones, especially on Lewis's side of the garage. He's been spotted back at Maranello multiple times lately. Not for coffee and cannolis, but deep in factory meetings, simulator sessions, you name it. Why? Because unless Ferrari's next upgrades bring something massive, Hamilton has made it clear he's pushing the team to shift focus entirely to 2026. Let's talk about Lance Stroll. The Canadian Grand Prix is just around the corner, and the big question is, will Lance actually race? We've now learned that he's had wrist surgery, potentially linked to lingering damage from the 2023 season. But rumors exploded after Spain, some even suggesting Stroll was raging in the garage, damaging equipment. Aston Martin sources deny that, but the silence hasn't helped. Reports say Stroll is likely to return, but let's be honest. Is rushing back into a physically demanding street race like Montreal really a good idea? Meanwhile, Felipe Drugovich is prepping for Le Mans. Not necessarily as backup, but the timing is interesting. Could Aston be hedging their bets? Could this be a calculated move to protect Stroll's seat from scrutiny? Because let's be real, if Drugovich got in that car and did well, questions would be asked. And Stroll Sr. probably doesn't want those questions. Now let's pivot to George Russell. Whispers around the paddock suggest Aston Martin might be sniffing around Russell's contract situation. Mercedes are expected to re-sign him, but nothing's inked yet. Here's where it gets juicy. What if Max Verstappen really does leave Red Bull and jumps to Mercedes? That deal's always felt like a fantasy. Until recently. The relationship with Horner, the power struggle, it's real. If Max takes that silver seat, where does Russell go? Red Bull? Unlikely. Their car is built around Max. It's twitchy, unstable, not suited for anyone else. Aston Martin, on the other hand, they've got Newey, they've got Honda, and they've got that state-of-the-art factory. If Russell has to jump, Aston might be his best option. So, F1, F2, F3, and the FIA all dropped a joint statement condemning online abuse. Now, on the surface, that's a good thing. But will it actually change anything? Probably not. The sport wants to show it's taking a stand, especially with recent abuse aimed at Alex Dunn after that wild Zandvoort lunge and pile up. Dunn got slammed online. Some fans crossed the line. It's not new. It happened to Liam Lawson, too. But it raises the same question. How much abuse is too much? Drivers are public figures. Criticism comes with the job. But maybe it's time the community and the FIA takes more than a performative stance. Here's a stat that'll blow your mind. Over the last triple header, Racing Bulls scored more points than Mercedes. Yes, that Mercedes. The Bulls bagged 20 points. Mercedes? Just 18. Credit where it's due. Isaac Hadjar has been outshining Lawson lately, and that S making Red Bull S decision even harder if Max gets hit with a race ban. Yep, Max is one penalty point away from sitting out a Grand Prix. If that happens, who replaces him? Lawson has experience, but Hadjar is hot right now. Planet F1 says it's 50-50. But if Red Bull want to test their future, Hadjar's the smart call. Lawson had his shot. This time, give Hadjar the wheel, and let's see what he can do. Fernando Alonso says his future depends entirely on next year's Aston Martin car. Fair. The team has slid backwards in 2025, even with all the Adrian Newey hype. But apparently, Newey's been locked away, in a full-on design trance, penning something special. Amanda Newey even posted a picture of their dog Benji waiting for attention while Adrian disappears into aero heaven. So yeah, 2026 is clearly the focus. And if the next car delivers, Alonso might just stick around for one more title charge. Ferrari might be second in the standings, but don't let that fool you. They are miles behind McLaren, who've now fully taken control of this season. The biggest concern? Their car isn't balanced, especially not for Lewis Hamilton. They had to raise the floor to avoid disqualification issues, which led to an unstable, unpredictable setup that suits Leclerc, but not Lewis. Leclerc got another podium in Spain. Lucky. Maybe. Helped by Antonelli's DNF. But Hamilton? He got overtaken on track by Nico Hülkenberg. That says it all. He's been critical of the front wing changes too, saying it's a waste of money. And he may have a point. Less flex means less compromise, and that seems to be hurting his driving style more than Leclerc's. At this point, Lewis Hamilton is already looking at next year. Yes, he's still fighting, still showing up at Maranello and working overtime. But he's also dropping lines like, "We haven't had upgrades for a while, and soon I'll be saying focus on next year." The upcoming upgrades, rear suspension, floor tweaks, could help. But if they don't, Ferrari may be forced to abandon 2025 and channel everything into 2026, the big regulation reset, and Hamilton's ex-Mercedes ally Loic Serra is now in charge of technical direction. Could that be the key? Even Juan Pablo Montoya chimed in, saying Ferrari needs to design the car around Lewis. According to him, cars built for Leclerc can win a couple of races, but not championships. Fair? Harsh? You decide. One thing's for sure. This European stretch is make or break for Lewis. Montreal, Austria, Silverstone, Hungary. Tracks he knows. Tracks he's dominated. If he doesn't find performance here, he may never find it in red. So, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Who should replace Max if he gets a ban? Is Hamilton right to push Ferrari toward 2026? And is George Russell quietly eyeing Aston Martin? Hit the like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for the latest every race weekend. This is F1 News Pit Pass, and we'll catch you next time.